95.9 WATD, this I'm sure is Morning News. I'm Rob Hakala, and the doctor is in the house. Dr. John Hayes is with us, and he joins us every Thursday at this time. Dr. John Hayes is located in Marshfield. For a better experience at the doctor's office, try Dr. John Hayes' new, highly personalized and affordable direct primary care practice. Find out more, drjohnhayesjr.com, drjohnhayesjr.com. Dr. John Hayes, good morning. Good to see you again.
Same here, Rob. Good morning to you.
Another Thursday. Here we go. And so this is a topic very timely here, preventing summer-related pain. Let's see what we can do with this.
Yeah, so this, there's some things that are really important. And as always, the written version of what we're going to discuss is on our blog. But a couple of things I want to talk about I think are really important. That would be the first three on the list. Number one, sunburn. There's a lot of talk about sunburn. I think pretty much everybody now is aware you should use sunscreen if you're outside, especially during the hours of 10 to 4. A couple of points, though. Wide-brimmed hats can make a big difference in protecting our eyes and our ears. Mm-hmm. Ears can suffer significant damage as well. So can the back of the neck and the head. So a wide-brimmed hat is a really good idea. SPF clothing, now we have so many options. Things are so comfortable, long sleeve, long legs, for some protection and so on. Sunscreen, though. Sunscreen is still an issue because a lot of the sunscreens are still chemically based, and even some of the ones that are labeled natural and containing minerals like zinc and so on still have relatively toxic ingredients. So my takeaway here is do your homework. If there's something you want to discuss further, feel free to give me a ring. I'll have some suggestions for you. But
it's a lot of sunscreen products.
Exactly.
It gets confusing.
Yeah, and it can be very, very dangerous. So you really, really want to dive in and do your homework. That could be a whole show in itself.
Okay.
Next one is dehydration. A couple things. So dehydration can sneak up on us, especially in the summertime. One of the most important things, unless you've got significant heart disease, kidney disease, or otherwise ordered by a doctor, is adequate hydration. Should start first thing in the day. Most adults should consume anywhere between 8 to 10 glasses, is like the proverbial. But basically, take your body weight in ounces, divide it in half. Take your body weight. Mm-hmm. Convert that to ounces, divide that in half, and that's about the amount of fluid intake total you want to have in a 24-hour period.
Oh, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, it's a help. It's not perfect, but it's definitely a help. So before you are going to be outside, you want to make sure you hydrate. And with regard to hydrating and sports drinks and that type of thing, not a big fan of sports drinks at all. Stimulants, sugars, sweeteners, etc. One of the safest ways to dehydrate, one of the best ways to rehydrate for most people, is to take 50% apple juice as a drink. You can basically get yourself a nice steel bottle, not a plastic one, fill it with some filtered water, 50% with apple juice, and that's a really, really good electrolyte replacement.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So with a decent diet, complementing that, also gives you a tiny bit of sugar to give you some energy, but not so much puts you over the top. That's becoming more and more popular. It's now something we actually use for, I think we talked about this before, adults and children with GI issues and diarrhea and so on.
Yeah.
So adequate hydration. Stay away from the plastics, guys. Plastic, we really need to eliminate the plastics in the food. The issues we're now seeing in the research on nanoplastics coming out with regard to human health, it's devastating, absolutely devastating. That's another whole topic in itself. Stay away from plastic, stay away from plastic-lined cans, especially if they've been out in the sun. You don't want to consume them. So that's a big takeaway there. The other thing regarding dehydration, like I mentioned, is to make sure your diet is adequate, and you want to continue. You want to make sure your diet has summer fruits. Some of the fruits that are really, really important, like watermelon has a lot of water for vegetables. Cucumbers has a lot of water in it too. Keeping your potassium relatively high. Apples, bananas, and oranges in particular. Even just a half a piece here and there can make a big difference on both energy level and keeping our potassium and electrolyte levels up.
Okay.
So the next one, this is something we see all the time, athletics, training, etc. It's not fun. Heat exhaustion, or worse yet, heat stroke. So the symptoms sometimes will vary. The most common one, though, on an outpatient setting would be somebody that feels like they're dizzy, lightheaded, etc. They need emergency medical attention. Don't screw around with this. Basic thing is get the person in the shade. If they can safely take fluids, you want to administer some fluids, but you've got to get some emergency medical attention because these things can progress rapidly. A lot of times you don't know if that person who has fallen or is out is on medication that could be influencing it or has other health issues. So that's the biggest takeaway. Don't ignore the signs and get prompt medical attention.
Okay, yeah, that's important. Okay, timeliness is key for heat stroke.
Absolutely, positively. And, heat stroke, heat exhaustion, again, a topic we could spend literally an hour talking about, but you just want to be aware it's not something to take lightly. Somebody says they feel crappy, get them out of the sun, hydrate if possible, and get appropriate medical care.
Okay.
And then the next one, I guess we're doing pretty good on the list here.
Yeah,
Rob.
we did. This is good. No, but it's good. We're cranking through
So
it.
it's important, so I want to hit it all.
Yeah.
So insect bites and stings.
Yeah.
So
Here we go.
Okay, so bee venom. If you're allergic to bees or wasps, you need to have an EpiPen.
Yeah.
You should have 2 EpiPens at a minimum.
Okay.
That's absolutely essential because these allergies can be devastating, especially if you're out and away from proper medical care. The other thing is you need to watch for infections after insect bites. Tick bites, of course. We've talked about Lyme and Lyme-related diseases.
Yeah, I know all about that.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
We'll talk much more about that as time goes on. But preventing it with appropriate insect sprays. Again, there are a lot of really good non-toxic insect sprays you can use that can be extremely helpful. But even with precautions, you can get a tick bite. I got one myself and finishing my antibiotics for Lyme disease.
Yeah, so
it happens, even with the best of care.
No, I know.
So,
So, I mean, these things are, again, it's also that timeliness with
Exactly.
the tick bite. So
Yep.
the other thing is just to make sure that, you and your significant other, whatever, your family check each other. So
Exactly.
you can do that. That's so important.
Yep, that's a good point.
Especially coming in after, we saw mowing the yard or something like that.
That's right.
You never know. They love to jump onto you.
Yeah, they do, unfortunately. So, so tick bites and bee venom.
Dogs coming in, too, bringing
exactly.
stuff. Yeah,
exactly. Animals in the house and so on.
So wasps, bees, ticks. Oh, yay. All right. Let's see. Oh, this is the big one right now.
It is the big one right now. Allergies and pollen.
Yeah.
Pollen especially.
This is crazy.
It is crazy, and it's been very, very
thick.
Yellow and thick, the pine pollen, especially these last 10 days.
Yeah.
The issue for a lot of us is that if you just have like simple allergies, I mean, keep your nose clean. Saline nasal spray. You don't need a full nasal lavage or really elaborate apparatus. Just a good, sterile, high-quality nasal saline spray used 2 or 3 times a day can make a big difference when pollen's high. But you need to pay attention because if you have asthma, if you have COPD, or you're in a situation where you happen to be breathing a lot of pollen, you're working outside or your desk is near a window that's open and that type of thing, it can cause respiratory irritation to the point that you can suffer, again, you can actually get an infection because you have an inflammation of your airways. You're more predisposed towards having an infection. So in the last month, I've seen sinus infections. I've seen even pneumonia from people that have significant exposure to respiratory irritants. So pay attention. This is another thing. We have a lot of good options now available. Cars now have great air filters in them. Homes, very easy to put, your filters in the HVAC system that are HIPAA and so on. Or, I'm sorry, HEPA. It can make a big difference. So minimizing exposure there can make a big, big difference. But again, very, very cautious. You have asthma, make sure you've got medications on hand, rescue medications, inhalers, etc., and just be careful.
Yeah, it's just I can't believe how fast it just coats. And I cleaned it off, and then there's a coating on the patio furniture, all the cars, the driveway. You see it, and then I saw the incredible thing was a shot from a helicopter, where it said the guy said this is not a rain cloud and it's not smog. It was actually just pollen all over the place. Yeah,
I believe it.
And then trying to get the pools open, they're all green.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but then you think I look at it and I see, wow, how awful is it? But then I think that's inside me.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It can be a significant respiratory irritant.
Yeah.
So awareness is key and taking some steps early on. Don't let simple respiratory infection progress.
Oh, and what do we have here? We can get one more in. Let's do it.
Yeah, the last one. So we got through the whole list. So physical injuries. So outdoor injuries obviously are much more common, especially after wintertime, springtime, early summer, outside much more, most of us. The places that we see a lot of injuries happen are simple ankle twists from switching footwear, walking on uneven surfaces like grass and the beach, and some of the other things that are really, really devastating, or slip and falls near pools, near beach stairs, and so on. So just exercising more caution, using handrails and most appropriate footwear are key to minimize slips, falls, and ankle injuries and so on.
Obviously, cycling, pickleball.
Right, exactly.
Whatever it
any
is.
increase in physical activity, you name it, we're certainly much more prone to it. And, the older we are and the less fit we are, the more predisposed we are to having these injuries in the summer, of course.
Today we've been talking about preventing summer-related pain. Most of us love summer, and these are the things to avoid to make it an even better summer.
For sure.
Yeah, so things we need to know about. Get the full list. You can go to the blog on Dr. John Hayes' website, drjohnhayesjr.com, drjohnhayesjr.com. And if you would like to connect, you can do that by texting or calling that number, right? I'll give that out.
Absolutely. Yep.
781-659-7989, 781-659-7989. You can call or text that number for Dr. John Hayes in Marshfield. And he's with us every Thursday at this time on WATD. So thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
All right. Take care.
You too.